Hey guys, on my August 29th DVD update, where I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've gotten over the last just about 2 weeks or so. Now, I'm sorry if I sweat in this video. I have to turn off all the fans, and the air is its own unit right above here, so there's nothing I can do. But the first thing I got, and a lot of people asked if I was going to get this, is the Walking Dead Season 2 Blu-ray exclusive. Now, I thought it was only sold in Best Buy for some reason. Well, they had it in Fry's. The Fry's one, though, didn't say the exclusive thing. So I don't know exactly what the main difference is between the two. This is made by Todd McFarlane. It is a very cool design. The actual price is, I think, $60. I had a $10 reward certificate, and then you get a $10, what do you get, like a gift card back. So it only ended up costing $10 more than the actual Blu-ray set at Best Buy. I think at Walmart it was $39. It's only $1 more than their one. It has the screwdriver that comes out. It kind of reminds me of, if the screwdriver went in the ear, it would remind me a little bit of, Return of the Living Dead 2, get that damn screwdriver out my head, or however that thing, you all know it if you've seen Return of the Living Dead 2. And the Blu-ray set is inside, and it's also a little bit, it's a thicker set than the main release one. But it's a very cool set. I'm going to pretty much put it up on my shelf and just keep the DVD out of it. Otherwise, you have to try and, the Blu-ray out of it. Otherwise, you have to keep reaching for it. But this is definitely a cool one. And if you have, just so you know, too, like at Best, like I said, you get the $10 thing back. And it was definitely a good thing to use the reward certificates on, because I don't mind spending $10 more to get it in this cool thing. The next one I got, and this one I was really happy to see was coming out, and it's Stephen King's Thinner. And the original one, the DVD, I think it was like one of the first, the earliest DVDs I had, ever got, probably within the first year. Back when you went in the horror section, there was 10 different things, copies of that, Corey Feldman movie, Voodoo, which I don't know if everybody remembers that, but they were in those weird, not even the paper snapper ones, but the paper, real cheap paper ones, and then inside was the jewel case. Because that's how, and DVDs actually in the very beginning from Sony were all in those jewel case things. But, I don't know if anybody remembers that. But this is Stephen King's Thinner on Blu-ray. I was really happy to see it was coming out. Like I said, though, it doesn't have the features. It was too bad they didn't do a new commentary or anything like that on it. But I always really liked this one. It's basically about this overweight guy who's a lawyer, and he ends up, he's driving home from this party with his wife, and she's giving him, head in the car. And he ends up not paying attention and hitting this old woman. And the old woman's father, who's 102, they're all a family of gypsies. Basically what happens, though, is the guy who hits the old woman is basically in this small town, and everybody's friends with him, and he can get anything, fixed. So at the court case, he ends up getting off because the judge and the cop are, totally, helping him to get off. And basically the cop says, oh yeah, I tested to see if he was drunk. He didn't. The lawyer basically just lets him off, and he ends up getting when he leaves the courthouse, the old man whose mother, it's his daughter who he, killed, goes up to him and touches his face and goes, "Thinner." And from doing that, he ends up, the fat character ends up losing weight like crazy. And the wife is like, what's going on? Are you on, is the diet finally working? Because he's always trying diets. Nothing is working. And then all of a sudden, now it is. And it turns out, the curse was put on him in the movie is him trying to find the gypsy and trying to explain to everybody and his wife and everything that it's, that it's a curse. And they all don't seem to understand what's going on. He goes to a clinic about weight loss and anorexia. They don't understand what's going on. This is a very good one. There's some real cool sequences too when he goes to a dream sequence when he goes to the fair looking for the gypsies, and some real creepy stuff that happens to the two other characters. This is a really good one I recommend. I don't love this cover. I don't know why they used this cover. It's not a bad cover. The original image, though, which was this face that was all sunken in, way cooler. I wish they would have used that. I'm not going to get rid of the DVD because of it. The next one I got is from Warner Brothers, and I've heard about this. You know, this is one I didn't see in theaters, but I was interested in seeing it. And it's the Zac Efron film, The Lucky One, and it's basically about Zac Efron has done 3 tours of duty as I think it's a Marine, and he's in Iraq. He ends up the last tour. He ends up finding this picture on the ground of the lead actress's character, and I don't think she's been in really much else, but she kind of reminds me a little bit of Reese Witherspoon, like when she was younger. But he ends up finding this picture, and she's basically, this picture is the good luck charm. And eventually, at one point, when he's in the war, the 3 people that he's with, like a bomb explodes. Zac Efron, you know, takes a force of it, but ends up surviving, goes back home, you know, and he's out of the Marines. I think they let him go because, you know, he's been through so much. And, you know, he ends up going back to stay with his sister and his sister's kids, and he can't deal with it. Every time he hears a noise, he starts freaking out, and he basically sets out to try and find the woman in the photo and tell her what what she means to him, and, you know, that he believes that he's alive because of it, and things like that. So he ends up tracking her down, and she works on this place where they, you know, for animals, like a pet shelter, where they, you know, kennels and stuff like that. So he ends up getting a job there because he doesn't know how to tell her. So he ends up just going and saying, oh, she's like, oh, you're here for the job. So he ends up working there, and it's like sort of them becoming, you know, friends and becoming closer and closer. And yet at the same time, there's the ex-husband who doesn't like that he's there and saying that he's dangerous and he's a drifter, and, you know, if you don't, you know, get rid of him, I'm going to get custody of my son, and all these kind of things. I really thought this was pretty good. You know, it is one of those real sad tearjerker movies too, so there are some sad scenes in it. I think Zac Efron did a really good job. All in all, though, I thought this was a pretty good one. The next one, and this one, I did a review of it a while back. I like this movie, and I know there's like a million different versions of this. There's like the Walmart one with the pin, but it was actually like $10 more just to get that pin, so I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then there was like I think there was like a Target had one, and then there was this one weird one that was like a box set of it that had the DVD version too, which I don't know why you really would want that one, because it was like the DVD set and then the Blu-ray set, because you wouldn't give it as a gift because it's in a box, and the box is what, you know, you would want. And it's the Hunger Games, the 2-disc Blu-ray version. And I enjoyed this movie. I'm interested in seeing, you know, the second one. You know, a lot of people, one thing people's complaints about this movie was how it was shot. It was a little bit shaky and it was all handheld. That didn't bother me. It's basically a, you know, toned down battle royale. You know, it's not the same story though, but it's a similar concept though, about the people that are put into this thing where there can only be one survivor and things like that. I don't want to go into the whole thing about the movie, but this is one though that I really did like this one a lot more. I'm interested in seeing the new horror movie that she's in. I think it's like Last House on the, it's a movie was like that same title in the 70s. I don't remember exactly. I forget the title of it. It's a little weird though, it's PG-13, but I'm interested in seeing that though, the new one. Now this one, Sacha Baron Cohen's new one, a lot of people really dislike this, and there's been a lot of negativity about it. You know, I looked at the Netflix, the Redbox rating, and really bad ratings. I thought this was pretty funny, and it's Sacha Baron Cohen, the dictator. I liked Borat the best, then Bruno, and then probably this. Probably tied with Bruno. And it's basically, Sacha Baron Cohen is like this dictator of this country. He ends up coming to America, and John C. Reilly's character ends up shaving off his beard and letting him free, and finding a look-alike of the character, putting him in to try and sign this treaty or something that he wanted signed. I don't know, I thought this was really funny. Anna Faris's character is in it. You know, it is, I like, you know, I don't know, for some reason I really love over-the-top raunchy comedies. And then at the same time I like, you know, PG, but for some reason, like, raunchy, sometimes I really like real raunchy stuff, and this really is raunchy, and, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't know, I like that kind of stuff. The next one, and I was happy to see this came out, and it's The Crow, City of Angels, and The Crow, Wicked Prayer. And the one that I was happy to see this for, because I already had the City of Angels one, but it's the one with Eddie Furlong and Tara Reid. I know it's not very, really that good. I know there was also another one with Eric Mendez or something. I think so. I think it was before this one. It's The Crow Wicked Prayer is the one on here with Eddie Furlong. I like Eddie Furlong. I've just bought one with him called Below Zero with, you know, him and Michael Berryman. I've got to watch. That'll be in the next update. Expensive, you know, for like 20 bucks for it, which is like, oh, I spent $20 on that, but, you know, I really wanted to watch that. But this one is the one when him and his girlfriend end up getting killed and getting revenge. I don't know, I like this one. For some reason I remember watching it and really liking it a lot. I like the other one too with Kirsten Dunst, which I really think was before this, but I'm not sure. But this is definitely one to pick up, and it's in, I think I've seen this in a lot of the Walmart $5 bins and places like that. Anyway though, the next one, and these ones, a lot of people had asked me if I got these. It's Halloween 4 and 5. And I looked at I only got to look at the picture on the 4th one and watch through it. And as crazy as it may seem, I don't know if I've actually watched these sequels before. I don't know if I have. I think I watched them years ago as a kid when they were edited on TV. But I don't think I watched these ones. I know I watched, you know, the later ones, but I don't think I watched these ones before. I just watched the 4th one, liked it a lot. You know, it's Danielle Harris is the star of both of these, and she's also the star of the, you know, remakes. Or, you know, in the remakes. I don't know, I thought this was a pretty good one. I need to watch part 5. They look pretty as good to me. And if you like the Halloween one, I'm definitely looking forward to Halloween 3, because that's coming out soon. A lot of people, you know, don't care for the 3rd one. To me, as crazy as it may be, that's like my favorite one. I don't know, I love that story of that one. Now this one was just sort of like a random thing I saw at, you know, I was like, I don't know, for some reason it seemed interesting. I think it was like $10 at Walmart, and this was like really bad. I think I'm probably going to get rid of this. And it's like, I know people say I don't dislike stuff very often. I don't know if it was really bad as much as it was just sort of like, why am I watching this? And it's called Breathless. And it was basically about these two women, and Val Kilmer's character is married to the one woman, and he basically just robbed a bank, and they're like tying him up going, where's the money? And then the one woman, the wife, actually ends up shooting him. And then the cops come around and they're like, oh, is your boyfriend, is your husband in here? We have to see if he has the money and all this stuff. So he parks his car out there and they have to try and figure out what to do with Val Kilmer's body. And you know, it's all this stuff. It's just basically them talking and, you know, trying, like, cutting up the body. And I don't know. I did not like it very much. And the next one I got is Darling Companion. And it basically starts off with Diane Keaton and her daughter. They just dropped off their oldest daughter at the airport. And I think she just got married. And they're driving home, and on the side of the road, Diane Keaton's character ends up spotting this dog that looks injured. They end up picking up the dog, and, you know, they call the police, and the police are like, well, we could put that dog down. You know, it's basically just shoot him right there. So they end up taking him to a, you know, animal hospital, and they're like, well, either of you would be willing to take the dog, and, you know, if you don't, the dog's a little old and probably is going to have to get put down. So Diane Keaton's character ends up taking the dog home, and Kevin Kline, her husband in the movie, is like, oh, you're not planning on keeping that, are you? She's like, oh, no, I'm going to find somebody, and we'll get rid of him very soon. It ends up being a year later, and, you know, they still have the dog, and the daughter that was with Diane Keaton basically is now getting married to the doctor, so they're going to, you know, they're out in the country, you know, having the wedding, and the dog's along, and Kevin Kline's character is on the phone walking the dog, and the dog isn't on the leash, and the dog ends up getting loose. So then it becomes this huge thing because the dog got away, and they're all trying to find him. And, you know, Richard Jenkins' character, you know, from Step Brothers and Let Me In, or Let the Right One In, the remake one, is in it. He was great. He was definitely like my favorite character in this movie. But it was all of them trying to find the dog, and, you know, that's basically the whole thing, though. Unlike Diane Keaton and Kevin Kline's character getting lost in the woods, I enjoyed this one a lot. I thought this was a really good one. You know, I wasn't sure if it was going to be a little bit like that movie Bingo, you know, where in Bingo it was kind of like it showed where the dog was, and, you know, all the people it met, and then they would cut to the family trying to find him. It wasn't like that. It was more just, you know, just them trying to find him. And then there's also this crazy psychic woman that was like saying, well, I picture the dog is here, and that was who was like the cabin, you know, owned the cabins they were all staying at for the wedding, saying, oh, I could picture him here, and a woman with like red hair. So all of them trying to follow the things that she was saying, and, you know, all the kind of results that happened with it. This is a really good one, though. This one from Sony I really liked, and I hadn't heard anything about it. It's called Salvation Boulevard, and it's Pierce Brosnan and Greg Kinnear. And Pierce Brosnan is the head of this huge mega church, and he's planning on building a whole town and a brand new mega church. I think it's a new church, or it's going to expand on. And he's at a debate with a person who is all against religion, and that's played by Ed Harris's character. And they're having this debate back and forth, and Ed Harris is like, well, would you like to go to my school and my office and have a drink afterwards? And they end up going there. So it's Greg Kinnear and Pierce Brosnan's character. Pierce Brosnan and them are talking. They're having a civilized conversation. Pierce Brosnan sees this fake gun on the ground. He's like, well, how do you know that if I shot you with this? And he ends up, the gun ends up actually going off. And at the time they think it's killed him, and then you end up finding out early on in the movie that he's okay, but Pierce Brosnan's character is trying to blame everything on Greg Kinnear, because Pierce Brosnan tries to cover it up by putting the gun in Ed Harris's hand and making it like he tried to kill himself. So it's a whole thing like the people in the church are all trying to Pierce Brosnan's character is saying you should take him out there and basically hinting at things for them to do. So things are very bad, and it's him trying to figure out what to do and keep himself away from these crazy church members. It is I thought it was a really pretty good one, and a little bit of a different movie. I would definitely check this out. The next one is from Inception, and it's called Vile. I saw the I heard some stuff about it. I really like this cover for it. It's kind of like Saw, a little bit like, it's a lot like the second Saw, I would say. It's about a group of these people. What starts off with these guys, a group of these friends camping out in the woods. They end up going to a gas station. They're all going to the bathroom. This one woman says, oh, would you mind taking me back to my car? I've ran out of gas. So the one's like, oh yeah, we can take you back. It's on the way. They take her back to the car with a can of gas. She's like, oh, wait a second. I got some samples for this company I work with, like chocolates or something to give you. She comes back and she's got this gas thing and gases them. They all end up waking up in this, house with this thing on the back of their head, like with these tubes and things like that. Then they end up seeing there's a TV in the corner. A lot like Saw, like I said. They see this video saying, you are going, you will be able to leave, but first you must, they basically have to inflict harm on each other, and in order to fill this canister thing in the back of their head, when they get scared or experience pain, this chemical comes out, and they're trying to collect this chemical. So these people have to basically do all these things to each other, like put their hands in boiling water, pull out their nails. I mean, it's a pretty crazy movie. The one character got really, really annoying in it, though. I thought it was okay. It's not a perfect movie. I thought it was a little different, like I said. I did like it, though. I don't think it's amazing, though, but I did think it was worth seeing. That's basically what it is, though, is them trying to do this pain to each other and trying to fill this thing up, because I think they have to get to 100%. So it's all this crazy stuff they have to do to each other in order to try and get out of this place. The next one, now this I was really happy to see, has finally come out, and they put out the series on DVD, but they never put out this specific movie. And it's the Tiny Toon Adventures, How I Spent My Summer Vacation. Now this, is something, that as a kid, I would watch this movie again and again. I mean, the amount of times that I watched this movie, I can't even count. It was one of my favorite things to watch. I always liked to, when they go to that theme park and then they had no money, and then all they do is ride around the monorail thing. I don't know. It's basically the Tiny Toons and all these different things they did on their trip, and they kind of spoof Deliverance and things like that. I don't know, I always liked this series, but this was always one of my favorite things growing up. I think it was 1992 or 3 or something like that. Like I said, this is a really good one, though. I know it's for kids and everything, but like I said, this is one of my favorite things as a kid. The next one is from the History Channel, and it's, there's Pawn Stars, and then now there's Cajun Pawn Stars. I watched this a little bit when it was on. This is the first season. This is not as good at all as the Pawn Stars. It's still interesting, though. It's basically out I think it's in somewhere in the South. I think it's in Louisiana. And it's like a pawn shop, like a little bit of a bigger pawn shop. But in this one, it's more like people bringing in, you know, animals they're pawning, and, you know, people eating like rabbits and stuff coming in, and more like antique, like kind of crappier stuff. Like, I don't know, it's not like the real high quality stuff that you see coming into Pawn Stars. It's more like sort of old, dirtier things, and they're pawning off like real different kind of stuff than you would think. I don't know, it's not as good, but it's interesting though. But it's not something I absolutely love though. Like I said though, if you like Pawn Stars, it's definitely worth checking out, but it's not as good. The next one I got is the Carol Burnett show, Carol's Favorites, and I think there's a couple different volumes of this out. And I remember watching this as a kid. I think they played it on TV Land, or they used to play like the ads, like the infomercials for this all the time. This is from Time Life, and I think they would play like episodes of it when they were promoting this years and years ago. But if you haven't seen it, it's like one of very early sketch show from the 1970s. I think, or it started in the 60s. All these episodes are from the 70s. Sorry if I'm sweating. I said it's just hot in here. But and they spoof things like soap operas and movies and things like that. And there's like Betty White was on some of the episodes of this one, Steve Martin. I think it's pretty funny. I mean, some people are going to think it's very dated, some of the humor, but I think it all holds up pretty well. I mean, I know some of the stuff they're spoofing is stuff that was really relevant in the 70s, but I thought it was all pretty funny. I like the old woman character that she does on the bench, and I don't know, I think this is a pretty funny thing. I would definitely check this out if you like sketch comedies and things like that. Like I said, I think I remember watching this on Nick at Night or TV Land years back. The last one I got is from Phase 4 Films, and I was really interested in seeing this, and it's basically a spoof, or kind of a spoof parody of Jaws, and it's called Sand Sharks with Cohan and Burke Hogan, and it's Fetty, and it's basically about, instead of like being the sharks are in the water, these are these sharks in the sand swimming around. And you know, it's a real cheesy but fun movie. You know, and Cohan is basically like the guy who's planning to, you know, he wants to try and bring money into the town, or more money for himself, but he's trying to have this big event, and you know, on the beach, but you know, at the same time there's these shark things going on, and it's just like in Jaws, like, you know, someone gets attacked, and then they're all like, oh well, they're not talking about it, so then more people get attacked, and it's, you know, it goes to the same thing. There's a character in there going, well, if you pay me $10,000, I'll kill them all. It's exactly like that. Like I said, it's a spoof of it. I thought it was pretty good, though. It wasn't anything amazing. I think Sci-Fi is going to be airing this in a couple of weeks. I would definitely check this out, though. I thought it was pretty fun, though. I usually enjoy these movies. I like the other Burke Hogan Shark one, Two-Headed Shark Attack, a lot. This is definitely, I thought, a pretty fun one. But anyway, though, thanks a lot for watching, for subscribing. I'll have the next update up in about 2 weeks. And I said I got a bunch of stuff I just got, you know, at Fry's and Best Buy to watch for that. So anyway, though, sorry if I'm sweating. I know it gets hot in here. It's like probably like 80 or something. Like I said, I have an air unit right here I can't have on, or you won't hear me at all. But anyway, though, I'll see you guys later.